Hi, everybody. We're here. We're live. See a lot of people in the chat. A lot of questions in the chat already. I already had 6 or 7 requests that came in from my post. And I hope everybody's having a beautiful day. It's a beautiful day in Texas because we had a hurricane hit the coast. So I shouldn't say all of Texas. I should say Dallas, Texas. Now, this is just a word of warning. I'm going to add this to the stage. Our state and our utility people are so poorly organized that people in Houston couldn't figure out where power was out and where power was on. So this is what they had to resort to. Let's see. It's the this is the Whataburger map of power outages in the Houston area. Up here is Conroe, which is north of Houston. The whole thing wouldn't fit on my screen. I'm sorry. But all the little places you see that are gray, that's where Whataburger doesn't have power. So people who live in those areas can figure out that they don't have power because of that. All I can tell you, folks, is this is about this life. This is about what's happening around us right now, which is part of why I put the thumbnail I put up of all the novels that reflect the kind of life we're in right now. But anyway, if you want to live in a country where you have to rely on Whataburger to tell you about your power outages, make the whole country as Republican as Texas is. This living in this state is an absolute outrage, and that's my current life thing. I really ought to do it past to get someone who can do good past lives on me to find out how I ended up here. But today, outside of that, it's a lovely day because, and this is Linda Fraser wrote me about, hope you're safe and sound. Yeah, the hurricane, actually the real reign of the hurricane ended a county east of me. But they did bounce up to southern Oklahoma, so I'm sure they did see big thunderstorms up there. Linda had a friend who just got back from California who had visited her daughter in Dallas and said it was hot as blazes. Your friend was not misinformed. It was hot as blazes last week. It was in the 70s this morning. I opened up my back door and I was like, what is that? What is it? Oh, that's cool air that doesn't come out of a box. So that's kind of the real life realities of here, and I'm a little discombobulated because of it. But one of the things in these hard times that we need to understand how to deal with, and it's to get grounded. So what I pulled out is a whole selection of grounding stones to show you. And hematite's a really good one, and there's a lot of that in the Midwest, and hematite is really iron. Black tourmaline's good. This is a shungite egg. This is an egg that was created out of a carbon field that was made by an asteroid that hit the world 13 million years ago and blew a big part out of, it's on the Chinese-Russian border, and it created this mineral way, 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 way into the ground. There's tons of it. It's called shungite. It's 99.9% carbon. And this one I like because it's an egg. It's easy to hold in my hand. This was a gift from a friend of mine. Don't ask me where you can get it. I have no idea. It was sent to me. And then there's jasper, which is all kinds of different stones. And this one is a red jasper with other colors of jasper. That's a good safety stone. But this is a stone I've had for over 50 some years. And this is a smoky quartz and a clear quartz. It came from Arkansas. And this stone is it's incredibly powerful. I've had it for a long time, so I've got a lot of energy invested in it. And that's a good grounding stone. This is obsidian. And this is rainbow obsidian. And if you could take this out in the sunlight, you could see all the rainbows in it. I have a black light. I don't know if my black light will do it or not, but we can try. Yeah, you can see the little rainbow stripes when the black light shines on it. But when you take it out in the sunlight, there's literally rainbows of colors in that obsidian. And I love this stone. It sits by my desk, and so I can kind of clutch it. And then petrified wood is always good for grounding us because it's an ancestor stone. I have on top of this a piece of amber. This is real amber from Estonia. And amber is petrified pine sap. All those stones are good for grounding. And the reason I'm talking a little about grounding today is we're going to talk about past lives, but we've got a very interesting life we're living through right now. And we need to get very, very, very grounded for that, for what's going on around us right now. Any darker stone would be good for grounding. This is what they call a worry stone. It's a thumb. And this is snowflake obsidian. And when they get it that thin, you can see clearly through it. It's got some clear in it, but that's another way you can get tension out of your body. That's what people need these days, is to get tension out of their body. You'll come back to me. And we're going to go to the banner questions. Mary Poppins, I do political questions on Sunday. Sunday morning, I take political and geopolitical questions, and I look at them. I find it's I don't know how to explain it, and unless you're a reader, I don't know what to tell you about it, but it's hard to jump in and out of your skin and go to different sorts of things. I try to only do past life readings on past life day because it's that different of a kind of feel that you're reading your way through. So if you want to come Sunday morning, you can meet my son, who is a political consultant. Scott has a city, sort of a town fair that they raise money at. It's a charity event, and he's going to be coordinating the softball. I think it's softball. Well, anyway, some sort of baseball tournament, but it's for men and it's guys his age, and he's organizing that, and he does it every year. And he thought someone else was going to do it this year, but they didn't. So I've known for a while he and I were potentially not going to be on this Sunday. So it will only be on my channel. I don't think it'll be going out on Scott's unless his rain thing gets rained out. And if you're interested in political questions, Mary Poppins, you can send them to me through my email, which is crystaldirections.nancyjean@gmail.com. And I'll put them on a list because Sean and I are going to meet on Saturday and talk about what we're going to talk about. Sean's expertise is field work, which means on the door to door, on the ground, getting people ready to work in campaigns. And this is really, I think we're going to be on Sunday 115 days away from the election. It doesn't seem like it could possibly be coming up that fast, but it is. And so that's my talking about politics, because I'm talking about when I'm going to talk about politics. Okay. Now we get into questions. Hi, Linda. Okay. I'm not Linda. I'm Nancy Jean, but that's okay. I understand. I get people's names mixed up all the time. Can you tell me who I've been in my past lives? Okay. I'm going to do a Spirit 7, and I'm going to put the camera on the table, and the camera's going to be on the table now for a while because I get dizzy changing between cameras. I can't imagine what it's like when you guys watch it. So. I can tell you one of who you've been. I can't see a whole line of people. If you want that kind of a past life reading, you need to book a real reading, not just, these are just sort of the equivalent of yes, no's in tarot. You're not going to get a long in-depth reading. And you've had this particular past life, you didn't grow to be very old, but you achieved a great deal. You have the star card, and that's what you achieved in that life. and you brought some of that energy into this life, you can be a very strong, domineering person. You can really show who you are when you want to. And sometimes you're a little shy about doing that because you remember from past lives when you used to push your agenda, you used to end up in a lot of battles. So you don't want to fight with people. You're a lover, not a fighter. You're a talker. And that's what you learned from this guy, because when he did his best, and the reason I said you didn't live to be very long is because you show up as a knight, which is a male who didn't make it to being or a female, either one that didn't make it up to being a mature adult. But I also get a feeling, and I'm going to throw out of a different deck I have, about where that past life was. I have a feeling that past life, hold for a second. I'm sorry, that's a phone call. Was from a doctor's appointment that I have tomorrow. So I have to call him when I get up and see what's going on. Where you didn't get to be a mature adult, but you learned a lot in that lifetime, and you've been using it in this lifetime. You're more of a peacemaker. But right now something's stirring you up, and you've been like the Four of Cups, waiting for the next sign of what you should be doing, and you're beginning to get it, as we all are. We're all getting moved to do different things, and not just in politics, but in our lives and our relationships in general. So who were you? I think you were a person of a certain amount of stature who made a difference to people, and you could have been a real little poo starter. You could have been roiling the pot, as they say, in that lifetime. But you chose. You're trying to. You came in this life to not do that. Although when you stirred the pot, you accomplished a lot of your goals, but it may have shortened your life for some reason. I don't know if it put you in a battle. I definitely see you being in a formalized army in that past lifetime. So if you ever dream about being in the military, that's probably where it comes from. Okay. I'm going to ask if your present husband and you were together, and you may well not have gotten rid of all of your karma. I mean, although I've been told that because of the photonic changes in us and the changes in our own DNA, that more and more of us are going to be born. When we come in next time, we're going to be karmaless. So that'll be interesting to see. If you don't have any karma, how motivated are you to do things? We're going to ask about Mimi and her husband. Or Mimi and her husband related in a past life. You may not have been husband and wife. You could have been all other sorts of things. Let's see what you were. Oh, yeah. And I think you actually may have been husband and wife, but I think the roles were reversed. He was the wife and you were the husband. There was some painful starts in that, but the overall love you have between each other has helped you get through a lot of things. In this card would indicate where you are in this lifetime, and you're past the blame game. You're into the acceptance game, and you're into being able to accept love. Although you have a lot of trouble feeling that, because there's apparently a lot of old wounds back there, but it shows you're working a lot of it out. You're in good shape this time, Mimi. Let's see what we got. Do I have any past lives that I still need to work through? Well, if you have a past life, you're probably going to need to work through things. Or the other thing, people never think about this in past lives. I read a woman once, and she had such an exceptional past life, and she had such an exceptional life this time. And she'd come in this time to bring in the skills she learned before and teach others in this lifetime. So things you're working on from your past lives doesn't always have to be bad. We're going to look at a shifting veils past life and see if one where you're working through something or bringing in the skills you learned in that life. A lot of my past life is skills that I use now in my reading and being psychic. Let's see, 3 shifting veils. Oh dear. You were in prison in a past life. And this is you. No, that's your past life. This is this life. Okay. Okay, man. Okay. This is the past life, these 3 cards. And in this past life, you were a woman. You were made powerless by marriage. But you learned how to go inside yourself in order to succeed and to come out okay. Now, in this life, you trapped yourself in the life path you picked. You trapped yourself a little bit into being a woman. I think you didn't want to come in as a woman again because you felt being a woman made you powerless. And you have fought that sense of that in 3 shifting veils. And what you're doing is you're conquering that. So that's that's the loose end you're tying up. You don't have to put up with being restricted because you're a female. But you have to get a better balance on that. You have to see that right now. And this would be a fascinating life to look at in a longer pitch, but I really don't have time to do the 4x4 or some of the more elaborate readings I can do when I do past life readings. Okay. Yeah. I'm going to hide you and bring up. Roni Y, is there a trait that I have brought with me through multiple lives because it was useful? Thank you. I'm going to ask if there is one because, sometimes we have a common path that goes through our lives. Some people have a lot of different things and they'll just specialize in this lifetime. I'm going to fix this. So let's see what we got. Does Roni have a trait? And can you show me the trait? Yes, you have a trait. And you're finishing it up this lifetime, and it's going to take some trauma to do it. But Roni, I'm not sure which. And I've asked you before, and I'm sorry, I don't remember which one it is. You're really good at learning things. But you're very, very patient with explaining things to other people. But in this lifetime, you wanted to get into a situation where you could move ahead quickly and spread the message and help spread the tune. And you're ready to unload whatever this gift or not gift has been that's coming. And it's being shaken out of you in this life. You have the Tower. Let's see what trait did she have. Oh, okay. In the past, you used all your power up and you were a teacher. You were the hermit. You're the one that taught people how to go inside themselves and how to separate themselves from what their problems were. So I imagine you'd be happier being a counselor. And I think that skill's just gotten stronger and stronger in you as you've gone along. But for some reason, the way you've done it in the past, you're not going to do it anymore. You may have done it, and I'm going to pull from these other cards. You may have done it through training and teaching people in traditional religion. Let's see what we have. Pull one card for Roni's past life. Oh, you did it through the arts. You were a leader in the arts. You were a creative, and you were able to create like sort of like when you read a good play or you read a good book and it's cathartic, and you learn a new perspective on yourself. That's how you've taught people in the past, and you're good at a narrative. I would think you're very good at a narrative, Roni, and that's an important skill to have. Let's see what else we got. Okay, this one's going to be a little bit longer because it's 2 people. Annette, can you please tell me what past connection is between myself and my foster brother, Paul? He is blessed with Down syndromes, and she has full guardianship of them. And then what she says beyond requesting, she's requesting his file from the agency that placed them with her family. And we're going to look at, will the file help you in understanding what the deal is? I'm asking if requesting a file is a good idea, if it's going to be helpful. Oh, yeah. You need to get that file, girl, because, and trust me, I rarely throw, when I throw yes, no's like this, I rarely throw them 2 in back to back where all 5 are right side up. His past isn't as tragic as you might have thought, but it shows a lot of the strength. He chose this. He chose to come in with this particular blessing to get rid of a lot of karma and to teach a lot of people. There's a lot of spirit and soul inside of him, and he is going to get rid of, be done. The 10 of Wands really means you start with the wand, you've got a great idea, you build it up through all of the steps, gets more and more important, finally becomes a burden, and the 10 of Wands is, it's done. Whatever you could do with it. So he's going to be done with this karma. Now I'm going to see what this is for you. And it's been a good deal for you. I cannot tell you. I don't ever remember laying fives right side up. This is you. He's taught you how to speak and how to understand using your own power, how to protect yourself and how to protect others. Sometimes your heart and your mind fight about things, but your biggest problem is you kind of want to control everything, and just by the very fact he is who he is and how he responds to the world, you can't, some certain things are unpredictable, but he's been a blessing to you because he's taught you how to use your own power. And were you a past life connection? Yes. I can't believe the 2 of you came in like that, and you're not. Hi, Nancy Jean. I have a present life question if you've got time. Did I just speed up my timetable for this year? Thanks. Oh, yeah, you and everybody else, Sarah. Danny and I are going to do a show or a couple shows coming up to 8/8 Lionsgate, which is a real turning point in everybody's year that nobody pays much attention to. But it's going to be a really important show. And one of the things Danny and I did in 8/8 Lionsgate 2 or 3 years ago, and because both of us had the same vision that we were watching people walk along in a line, in a straight line, and then all they got the place where they started parting. And at first they could kind of see each other, they could sort of talk to each other, but then the lines got further and further apart, and what both Danny and I saw was the lines would separate, and you can't reach across that divide and get the person on the other side. And there was just a whole lot of things going on at the time that showed that split was happening. But let's see, did your timetable speed up? Yep. And it's going to be crazy through October. But it's because you're meeting a lot of new people that are bringing a lot of new perspectives into your life. This is a time for your spirit to shine. Don't ignore that the spiritual gifts you have are helping this shine. You're doing a great balancing act right now. Now these 2 cards are the past. These are the future. This is like right now. You're balancing those pentacles beautifully. You're doing a wonderful job. Some of the people you're meeting now are going to be people who are going to be a long term in your life. And that's important. And it's going to slow down. Let's see if I can see the Chariot. It's not going to keep rushing forward as it is right now. It's going to slow down for a couple of reasons. One is the environment within which it's happening. This normally means like a work environment, but it could be a volunteer. It could be any kind of environment where this is speeding up. Your own family is going to have an effect on it, which is good for you to stop and look at them. And there's a man who is going to, a male, well, this could be a male or female, but as someone who's been very important to this enterprise, you're going to get to understand and get closer to them. And that's going to take time. But your whole time frame of your life, yes, it's speeding up right now. Okay. Now this is a random question. It showed up in the chat. And who was it? Somebody got a yolkless egg, and she wanted to know if it was a sign. Where did I marked it? It's way, way, way back at the beginning. And then we'll be over here. Oh, here it is. Mimi Nee. Hi. I opened a hard-boiled egg this morning, and it had no yolk. And she wanted to know if there's any deep, dark thing going on about that. And no, it's a natural phenomena. Yolkless eggs are usually smaller than normal eggs. I had to go look it up, though, because I never run into a yolkless egg. Sometimes they're given other names. Fairy eggs, witch's eggs, fart eggs, which is really rude, and oops eggs. But they're safe to eat. They just lack the nutrition of a normal egg. So get a yolkless egg. The universe is not turning against you. You're fine. Now I'm going to go over and take questions out of the chat. Mary Lair. Okay. I see you in a long, floofy dress. I think that's what we're going to see in this past life. You're a big, really floofy, not exactly Southern Belle, but close. Very flowy type of dress. And this card really wants to be here, so I'll turn you up first. This is this life, and this is the past life. Okay. And, okay. Something happened to you in that past life that made you feel as if things weren't very just, and you're trying to find the justice and you're trying to find the balance in your heart. In that life, you were married to somebody, but everything the two of you tried to make work, it didn't work. It never fell apart completely, but you were never very happy there. I'm going to see about the marriage because it didn't look bad. Yeah, it was kind of a loveless marriage, and at some point you ran away to get out of that marriage. That life has affected this life. This life, you want to come in and you want to be with people you can communicate with, that you can get along with, that you can be around and travel with. You don't want to fight. Man, you don't want to. This has shown up in a lot of people's readings recently. This way, this is the Nine of Swords, and it's death and destruction and feeling very trapped, and you're stuck in battle and you're like trudging through the snow. I think that looks like my image of during the Russian Revolution, when everybody got all discombobulated and got thrown all over the country, and people had to walk through snow and they had to fight for everything they could get. It was really an ugly, difficult time. I remember when I was reading about it in world history, I must have been there because I really didn't like it. When it's reversed, it's like you're going to avoid battles. You're just not going to go fight there. And even if that means that you have to live in an uncomfortable place. Well, I'm going to tell you what I really love about tarot is you can turn cards around. So what I'd do, Mary Lair, is I would turn that card around and say, no, I have the right to have fulfillment. I have the right to do that. When you do that, then you can change. This card changes all the time in past life readings because it's where you are right now. You can get out of that justice. And like I said, I saw you in a long, flowy dress, and I'm going to look at that, where you were. I don't think you trudged through Russian snows, by the way, so don't get that image in your head. pull a card to tell me where Mary was in that life. Oh, yeah, it was all surrounding the marriage, and it was a time of very traditional. It was in the 17 or 1800s, and you were married to someone, and I think at first you two really did care a great deal for each other, but I think circumstances wore you down. And like I said, it's a period where I'm feeling France, and I'm feeling, or French, because Europe was all cut up funny. Was France then, isn't now? But you were in a long flowy dress, and there was a time, and you want to get to where you felt like when you were in that long flowy dress right now, Mary, and you can do that by imaging yourself to allow that prosperity. And something used to happen in that first marriage, and things would get good, and then it would all fall apart. And I think you went through that too many times to want to keep doing that pattern. Silent victory. Dun, da, da, da. Okay. We aim to please, silent victory. What can you tell me about silent victories, past life? Past life for silent victory. One of them that's kind of fun to look at. That's what I thought. Silent victory. Did you emigrate to the United States? Come to the United States sort of a different way? Because what I see in the past life was you never really, your people never really made it, and there was a lot of money, and you died as a child in that past life. So, and for some reason, I saw them on a boat. I felt like some part of this life, this past life, was on a boat. I'm going to look because I can get a couple boaty images out of this. Maybe they immigrated here. Okay, I think they immigrated from England because they immigrated from a country that had a very strong history of knights, knighthood, and that kind of hierarchy in that past life. Oh, you were Irish and your family immigrated here, and even though they immigrated here, you still died. So for some reason, something's happened around here recently that said you need to move, and some part of that's breaking all that up, but it's your choice. You need to kind of, if you do what's unconventional, you'll have your idea together by October. But I'm actually seeing you in this reading at a point where that crisis point of your life, your prior life, is raising up, and something's, normally you just kind of go with the flow, but this card really means I don't want to move. And yet you need to move because the move would be good for you. You'd be going from a place that's kind of okay to survive, but to another place. And it's a place where you'd have to stand on your own 2 feet, make your own decisions. So I don't know if this matches you at all, silent victory. And if you can put anything in the comments below that would help me. This is the hard thing about doing past lives blind. But I have a feeling your old history of emigrating from Ireland and then dying anyway. And I that's one of those immigrations I feel very strongly, because my grandmother came over from on a boat. So did my grandfather that lived in Canada, and they both barely made it. So I understand the thought. Hi, everyone. Oh, that's Mimi Nee and her hard-boiled egg. So we've already answered the hard-boiled egg question. Okay. Will you tell me something about my past life? Soulmates. Okay. Artistic world, this is where we're going to kind of have a bit of a Nancy Jean lecture. I don't believe in soulmates. I believe that there's a lot of spirits that are around us for a long period of time. And whenever you come back, you're going to meet people you knew before, and they're going to be part of your soul family. But twin flames and all this stuff, um, trust me, I've been around enough readers in the real world before COVID and working psychic fairs, enticing people with soulmates, and I can tell you about this or that. Those are all, those can be easily exploited. And quite honestly, I've seen where people were clearly connected to each other, but the whole image of the soulmate was something to intrigue people to make them keep coming back. So we're going to look at a quick look at a past life for you. Oh, aha. You were in a church order and you got pretty high up. I don't know if you were the abbess of the abbey you were in, but we're going to see if we can focus on the abbess and on how the abbess. I think you've always sought or been put in positions of leadership, whether you liked it or not. It's hard to get rid of them religious energies, I hate to tell you. And a lot of women in the olden days went into the church because they had a hell of a lot more freedom if they went in the church than if they stayed married. Not to mention they wouldn't die having their 15th kid. Okay. Okay. Well, in that past life, yes, you did one. You were in an order, but it wasn't a very good order. It didn't meet your expectations, and that's why you skew being put in positions of leadership because your experience with it wasn't very good. But you really have innately a strong sense of justice that you carry with you. You just have to find the right people to express that with. And but I tell you what, when you run into the wrong people, you're quick to cut them off. Right now you're dealing with a masculine energy, and I think you may be dealing with some people around you that are reflecting parental values that were not good for you. So you, if maybe being aware of that, that's what you're cutting yourself off from. Um, and if those are the soulmates you have, I can easily see why you'd want. I'd want to know who my soulmates were so I could avoid them if they were like these folks. But um, you have innate leadership qualities in you, and you came in with a sense of justice. So I'd look at that part of myself if I'm working on me right now and where I am and what I want to do. This is a time of separation. This is a time if people have been separated, I think, from folks for a long time. It's now an understanding that that's a permanent part of our universe right now, and we. So you're cutting people off, but someone will come in for everyone you cut off artistic world. But in your past life, that role, and it was the Middle Ages. I see you in an old fashioned. If you've never ever visited a monastery or a place like that, go to one. You'll recognize the layout immediately because it's very strong in you. This is a comment that will make not a lot of sense to you. This is Penelope. It's the lady I read yesterday. She woke up with a bad headache this morning. Yeah, because we were talking about opening up your third eye. And that will lead to some sort of headachy feelings. How bad it gets depends on what you choose to do with it. But everybody's third eye is opening up. Okay, Faye Cole. Faye, I haven't seen you for a while. Yeah, I'll do a past life reading for you. Faye Cole. Let me see if I Faye Cole. You got some good signs here in this life. Wow. Okay. You were, and I would love to do a long reading on this, Faye. You were someone who was very famous in your time, and you brought in a lot of new theories. I'm really seeing like Renaissance time, and you were there building things and helping people see things and understand things. And what happened is in this life, you came in with a lot of this energy, very strong. King of Pentacles is somebody who gets things done, knows how to count what needs to be counted, and can do it. And you've collaborated with a lot of interesting people, but your biggest problem is letting yourself go, so that, and just being free enough within yourself to make the kind of enlightened decisions this guy did back in the day. And I presume it was a guy because very few women, or we find out later when we get somebody's diary, a woman led him to it. But you're another one who's always called on to be the leader. And it's really important for those people who are always pulled into positions of leadership to decide whether you want to lead or not. And you do want to have, because sometimes when you're the leader, you don't have all the freedom to move that you'd like to have. But Faye, you are just doing great guns. I'm going to lay what's on this Hermit. I think you feel like you need to make this climb and stuff, but you want to take your time before you send your message out to people. This is really resting. You need to be really protective and give yourself the time to rest, because what you have to say and what you're seeing and bringing forward is really that exceptional. Let's see if we can focus in on Faye in the past life. You've always been really good with money. You've always been able to find the money you need. That may be part of dealing with the world right now. So, yeah, with you, well, your bottom card on this deck was love, loving life. So, some part of you, Faye, and this comes from this guy. You carried it in. You're really good with money. You're good in understanding it, but there's a part of you that's very shy about working with it right now, and I don't know why. Follow your own instincts. You had a great Renaissance, girl. Let's see. What kind of a life I had is one of my past lives. Okay. I'm going to use these. When I get tired, I can't do the Spirit Sevens. That takes a lot of imaging energy out of me. Where was Delphi Ross? What kind of a life did Delphi Ross have in a past life? Ew. You were a slave in Egypt. That's kind of tacky. But eventually you went to a place with lots of trees. And what did you learn from that life? Blessings. Another life. This is another one. In another life, you had lots of lessons and blessings that could make up for being imprisoned here. You had a spouse you really liked, but it was almost unrequited love. I think that ended early, and so you lived a long time on your own. But because you had the opportunity to at least make that kind of a free, independent decision, you're okay. I don't know if you watch the documentaries on Egypt. They're digging up all kinds of stuff on people in Egypt. But you were in this reading, at least part of your time in Egypt, you were a slave. And so much of their population was slaves. It's like people talk about being slaves in Rome. Yeah, it could be a real bad, a really horrible thing. It's always a horrible thing to be owned by someone, but it kind of depended on the situation you were in. But you managed to find a life in the trees, in a woods. In I think you ended up the next life you popped into. You were in Europe. Okay, Jen's going to defend about the map. That map was crazy. My husband works for our electric company. Oh, maybe where you are. It's not all electric companies. I'm saying it's the state of Texas. I watched, it was Dan Patrick sitting next to some people, and they were saying how ready the coast was. Unfortunately, the coast of Texas is never really ready for the next storm. It's partly because the coast, Houston, is a city made up of a bunch of bayous, which is bayou is a fancy word for swamp. Um, and because of that, no roads are straight. It's very hard to evacuate Houston. Houston is very low, and like most of the coast, because the ice caps are melting, you're throwing a lot of rain and stuff on a low area. Don't get me started on Houston. But I started it, so you didn't. I did. Okay. Some people are saying we're there. It's still hot as hell. Oh, it's going to be nasty again next week. I'm going to go out and walk this afternoon because I can. Okay. Carl, could you please describe my role in Roman times? Was I somewhat of a tyrant or a leader? Um, this was mentioned by Diana to me, but my guides don't want me to focus on it. Yeah, if you were real, why would you want to go focus on yourself in your worst times? Let's see what I can see with my little cards. I hate to read on top of another reader's reading, but Carl, um, you were in love with life. You never could be with the person you really loved. And you were Celtic, so this isn't Rome. Let's see if I can click. Why no Rome? Maybe you're just not supposed to think about it. Romans were a kind of bloodthirsty lot. My parents had the unfortunate mental image that you weren't educated unless you learned Latin. So I took 4 years of it. And my only thing I can say about studying Latin, Latin's a dead language. It killed the Romans, and now it's trying to kill me. But let's see what happens to you in Roman times, okay? You were in the hierarchy and you liked it. Oh, you can't see these cards because they slept off the screen. You were in the hierarchy and you were very comfortable. And you pretty much got everything you wanted. But you did steal from people. You cut other people off from being able to do what they needed to do. And you were very, very materialistic, which is also Roman. So, yeah, it's probably not a part of yourself that you want to focus on. What I got was the next generation out when you were born into a Celtic culture. You had an unrequited love, but you loved life. You loved life and you enjoyed it immensely. But your love, having other people be part of that world was not good for you. So read about being a Celtic warrior. Don't read about being a Roman warrior. And they were considerably different, actually. Hi, Nancy. Can you tell me if I've achieved anything in any of my past lives? Well, we all achieve stuff. I have a friend she's done the real deal where they hypnotize you and take you back and all that stuff. And the best life she ever went into, she was a child that was orphaned in India in the 1600s, I think. And the village sort of raised him like a pet. They all fed him and took care of him, and they taught him how to watch the cows. But the only person that in the memory that life had was of the cow, that part of her called that cow mother. But eventually they fast forwarded, and he found a mate, and he had 9 children, and he built a house, and his children were in the house with him while he was dying, because they walked her through what happened when she died. And of all of her lives, she said that's the only one that she woke up from peacefully. When she was very wealthy in Georgia, and her parents sold her off into a loveless marriage, and she died at 22 in childbirth. So, we've all achieved something just by getting this far. But let's see if Lyra. And I'm going to go till 1 hour, and then I'm going to close down this pop stand. Yeah, boy, have you made it from that life. Okay. What you brought forward is your third eye, your instincts, your psychic ability. In a past life, you got nowhere. Nothing worked. You never got anything you wanted. You barely escaped being imprisoned, but it wasn't pleasant. So when you came in this life, you said, I'm not doing that crap anymore. So you must have achieved a lot, because you picked a powerful path. You picked a path where you can transform and change whenever you need to. You can find the right people you need to work with. And at the center of this is your high priestess, and that you're psychic, and that you're born in this time to be psychic. So because you understand what it's like to be wandering around and cut loose and feeling very disoriented, and you had 2 reverse dates, and that's a 9. You had a reverse date in that life. You had no money, no power, no ability to do anything. And now you've invited yourself into a life where you can do everything. So that's what you achieved, was knowing how to pick a better life path. Yeah, you were picked artistic world. You're going to have to go back and look at it. I don't believe in soulmates, but you had an interesting reading. Okay. Let's see. Mountain Sage yesterday. Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, you had a strong spiritual life before. You traveled with it. You learned from it. You moved forward, and that you got along with people, and you had a really strong sense of balance. So this life, you came in, you wanted to strip yourself and sort of abandon certain skills you had before, because you wanted to move on, and you're letting go. So yeah, you're going towards the sun. So I think this past life where you're very successful, it was maybe with love and emotions and things like that, but you weren't satisfied. And so this time you came in to be spiritually satisfied, and you'll move when you need to move, Mountain Sage. I think it's because you had this very successful life, but there was still an element missing, and you've come in this lifetime looking for that element. Mary McSorley, yay! Mary and Mike and I will be 51 years together on July 19th. Okay. I'm just going to do a yes, no on that because you may have been together before, but like you could have been a parent to him. He could have been a parent to you. You could have been siblings. A lot of other ways that can all happen. Yeah, you were together, but in a lot of different capacities. Parent, child, sibling, all sorts of different things. And we tend to have soul families we stick with. So I think your feeling being blessed by being with him often is right. Let's see what else we got. Okay. You know, it's one past life. We have a lot of them, so it's not just one my past life. Birth dates don't help me at all. I'm not an astrologer. They can help me in numerology. 6 and 2 is 8. 5 is 13. 13 and 8 is 8 and 8 is. You're in a 3-year. I can do that for you. Go look up. You're in a 3 personal year, Dale. I can tell you that much from your birthday. That started on, the way I figure it started on June 25th. You started your 3 year. That's a good year. Let's see, past life. Okay. These 3 are the past life. This is the life you're leading now. And in a past life, you were a study planner. You had a good family and things around you, and you didn't have much strife. You actually were born in one of those golden times when the crops grew and countries didn't go at war with each other and ride over each other. So this life, you want to come into a happy life. You you speak your mind, and a happy family is very important to you. But right now, you're very upset because you don't feel the justice that you felt in this time because there weren't any people trying to take things or enforce things on you didn't like. So I'd say you slid into pretty much the same life you had before, but you also understand how important the outside element is and that there must be justice. There must be some fairness in the world beyond ourselves. But you had a really good life. I mean, that's a good life. Right. And let's see what we got. I got about one more question. So let's see where we get down to. Take the next one I see. Okay. Bridget, to give you the kind of answers you want, I'm sorry you came in late in the show, and I'm not even sure earlier in the show I could do it. That requires a real for real sitting down and looking at all of the pieces and looking at it from several different ways. I can swing pendulums on this. I have a past life garden. I have several different decks I use to read. This is just a quick fix. So if you know a lot about that life in Ireland, good for you, and contact me privately about getting more information or get in earlier. Yeah, and that's true. The whole collective's speeding up, so we're all moving faster, and it's just going to feel my ley line tree, Hogarth. I went out to see him before, and it was before the solstices. Actually, it was for the spring solstice, spring equinox. And was it equinox? It was in the spring. It was when seasons change. And he I said, "How's it going?" And he said, "Come and see me tomorrow." And when I went um, to see him, I'm not going to have time to do any more questions, folks. So sorry about that. But I said to him, you know, you're branching out. Green, you have just a few little greens things coming out of his burls. And for those who haven't seen Hogarth, I think he's in here. No, I don't have him in my thing right now. Um, and I said, yeah. And he said, well, come see me tomorrow. So I went out the next day, and that's where I walk when I do my walks. And I walked out to see him, and all of his trunk was sprouting with green. I mean, it's hard to believe that that happened overnight. And I said, boy, you're changing. He said, everything is. And I said, that fast? And he said, that's why I did that for you. Yes, that fast. Okay. Okay. Lady talking about her brother, but she's taking care of that. They're inseparable. And yes, I I had a chance to flash back into a past life, and it had to do with politics, and I went into the very last stages of this woman's life, and was Chinese, and I helped foment a rebellion against a leader that wasn't a very good person. And at the last minute, the people that I had helped work on it that were supposed to be my friends, they betrayed me and they killed me. And I recreated that several times in political campaigns until I figured out what was going on. Hi, Dorothy. Need to talk to you, Dorothy. Um, okay. Ah, Silent Victor immigrated from India to Canada. I thought I saw a long trip and an immigration, and it was because if you'd stayed where you were, you would have starved. I mean, there would have been problems. I don't know that your family would have been so poor it would starve. Okay. I'm just trying to see if there's anybody that has something that. Okay. Well, somebody that I saw was in Egypt says had some dreams about sand. Well, you would if you went back there. And I don't see. Um, Maybe next time I do past lives, I'll talk to you more about working with them before. Anyway, I just want to. We all have them, and if watch my posts because you're always going to get your question answered if you post it in the comments below. So, okay, this one I can put up. We're all going through the dark night of the soul. I mean, that's part of what the energy is right now, but that's okay. Because if your soul's been good about things, you're going to be okay. We're all going to be okay. I don't know how many more ways I can say that, but we're all going to be okay. And I'm going to pull one oracle card quickly. Pulling from the surrender deck. Ah, perfect one for us. Surrender your fear of change. That's where we all are. That's for everyone that's in the chat. And, you know, when you change and you come in and you create a new life here, there's change. The universe is reminding you now that you are cared for always. Whether you're afraid of change in your life, your job, your health, or relationships, or fear of aging or death, repeat this affirmation. I have faith and all is well. And I couldn't say any better. So I'm cutting it off now. Have a good day. I'll be on with Allie from Heart and Soul Connection tomorrow. And I think it's at 4 o'clock my time, but I'll post it. She didn't send me the time. She sent me the link. And I will be doing my grid thing on Thursday. Friday, I'm going to take a day off. Saturday, I'm going to be teaching my class. And Sunday morning, I'm going to be doing a special political show only on my channel. Scott's got a thing he's got to do. And I'll be on with a political consultant. And we'll be discussing polls and how they count people and how you can become active in your own area in political races. Anyway, thank you all for being here. Goodbye.